As you probably know, there are a lot of teachers in Arkansas that have been charged with crimes against children. I myself have done a more than 50-part series of teachers that were charged with crimes against children. But what happens when teachers aren't criminally charged for crimes against children? And I'm talking about when people actually find out about what's happened, because definitely there are plenty of times I think that this happens when nobody knows what happens. But there are two things that can happen when people find out. One is that school districts can just sweep it under the rug, and it's happened. You may even know of cases in Arkansas, especially where that's happened, especially small school districts. They want to protect themselves and pretend like that's not happened. But another thing that can happen is that the school board opts to revoke permanently the licensure of that teacher. So they're not allowed to be teachers anymore. And that can happen even though criminal charges are never filed. I don't know why it is that there's enough evidence that the state of Arkansas Department of Education can permanently revoke the licensure of a teacher because there's enough evidence for that, but there's not enough evidence or a prosecutor that will actually, do their job and criminally charge the teacher. But it does happen, and this is one of those cases. This is the case of Brittany Herod. Brittany Herod was a teacher for the Hamburg School District when her teacher license was permanently revoked by the state of Arkansas Board of Education because she abused a student in a sexual manner. She had an inappropriate relationship, predatory relationship with a student. She was not, from what I can see, criminally charged with that, but there was obviously enough there that the Department of Education revoked her license. So in this case, this was a case that was actually emailed to me. The person that emailed it is concerned because Brittany Herod, she did this thing that so many other teachers, have to register as sex offenders for, or even in prison for right now. But Brittany Herod didn't get criminally charged, and she's, out attending basketball games, football games, whatever, going up to the school like it's no big deal. So this is a screenshot of the Department of Education educator licensure where you can go and search. This shows her license is definitely permanently revoked. So this is the finding of fact, conclusions of law and order in the case of Brittany Lee Herod. It says that at the regular meeting on July 13th, 2023, they accepted the recommendation of the Professional Licensure Standards Board Ethics Subcommittee for disciplinary actions against the teaching license of Brittany Lee Herod. It also says that Brittany Herod failed to respond to the ethics subcommittee recommendation and the evidence that was presented by them. Brittany Herod was first issued a teaching license in December of 2020, so she didn't have one for that long. It lists the code that Brittany Herod allegedly violated and then says on February 3rd, 2023, the ethics subcommittee authorized the investigation into the allegations that educator Herod violated Standard 1, which is an educator maintains a professional relationship with each student, both inside and outside of the classroom. Standard 2, an educator maintains competence regarding his or her professional practice, inclusive of professional and ethical behavior, skills, knowledge, dispositions, and responsibilities relating to his or her organizational position. It says that educator Herod was notified on February 3rd, 2023, of the ethics subcommittee's authorization to investigate the allegation, and then says after considering the investigator's report and evidence on June 2nd, 2023, the ethics subcommittee unanimously found that a preponderance of evidence existed to substantiate the violation of standards 1 and 2, and that educator Herod had inappropriate communication with a student or students, had physical and or sexual contact with a student or students, had an inappropriate relationship with a student or students, exhibited inappropriate disposition inclusive of professional and ethics behavior, and violated district, state, or federal policies or law. Anyway, you can feel free to read the rest of that if you would like to. It just goes on to say that basically she had an opportunity to respond. She didn't. She got a permanent revocation of her teaching licensure and a $500 fine. And then, of course, that this revocation of her licensure will remain in her professional file forever. But seriously, don't cancel me because I suck at singing. So now you know about Brittany Herod. Do you think that teachers that have their license revoked for having an inappropriate relationship, predatory relationship with a student, should or should not be allowed on school premises after this happens? And also, why would you think teachers are not criminally charged in cases like this where there is obviously enough evidence, like I said, to permanently revoke her teaching license, and she didn't even fight against it, which says to me like guilty, but that she's not charged criminally for that. Why do you think that is?